Good afternoon, everybody. Early start today. So we'll wait till we get everybody in here. Okay. All right. How's it going? Are you off today? Hey, Paul. Not much going on. I don't have to do nothing today, so I figured I might as well just come on and get the intel out. My goodness. Purple and purple back to back, Paul. JJ, you must have been busy, huh? Kay's been under the weather, so hopefully she will be in. Lucy, any shoveling today, Lucy? I just texted her and told her that you were in chat. Hopefully she'll be okay to get in here today. We had a big show last night. Did you listen last night, JJ? I had 4 new ones at the beginning of the show. Yep, a lot of good stuff yesterday. How did you check your market today, JJ? Hey, Flying Eagle, you're up. You remember the first time I seen you this early. A lot of good stuff again today, you guys. That's why I'm coming on early. I got a update on a video I found on Telegram about the med beds. So I don't know if it's true on anything, but we'll listen to it. Yep, you're finally getting snow, right? So, Paul, you know that photo we saw of the New York mayor yesterday with his wife? Well, today I just found something very interesting. Did anybody catch it yet? You guys won't believe the photo I found. It was the mayor when he was a boy. Yeah, the mayor of New York City. So that was interesting. Yep. So that was, yeah, I'm going to show it. We'll get people in here, get going. A lot of good stuff again. We're going to have every day from here on out. Looks like everything's coming out. I hope everybody liked those history videos yesterday. Hopefully Ann will be able to get her phone plugged in tomorrow. I'm going to see if I can play these photos on my phone. I hope you guys can see all of them. Yeah, so you guys have just tell me when I play the videos to help me out. Just tell me if it's safe to play and not safe to play. That would help me out a lot. Thanks. Paul and Flying Eagle. I got a Market Lady was new. It might be pretty good. I'm gonna play that when we can. Of the silver. Any numbers on the Melania movie out yet? Billy's not out yet. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started because I want to get a lot of stuff out tonight. Basketball games are on at 6, so it's no big deal. But I'm saying we'll see how things go. Oh, the market, okay. Oh wait, that was Paul. Okay, so we are going to. I kind of want to share the photos on the phone. Was this last night, you guys, with the White House? I don't know if that was last night or not, or the night before. The full list of 19 banks closing in February 2026. This was off of Nell from Australia, JJ, off of her page. It branches in 24 hours. This was a former NBA commissioner was emailing Jeffries. Okay, here we go. Here's the photo, you guys. That's the New York mayor. As a little boy. The 6 states that don't require voter ID: California, Hawaii, Nevada, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington. Okay.
President Trump's a lot of room for a lot of names. That's a lot of room for a lot of evil. Type of evil. As
So even Auntie is talking about the list. Oh, I gotta log in again. One, three, three.
and 80,000 photos with the release finally of the Epstein files. Did the world just find ourselves smack dab in the center of Revelation 17? And are we literally watching biblical prophecy unfold right before our eyes? The entire world, not just the nation, not just the whore that sits upon many waters, Babylon, in fact, the entire world, a world who has now been for years waiting, anticipating the release of these files, now that we have them, has Revelation 17, biblical prophecy, finally been fulfilled. For years now, we have all been waiting, anticipating, wondering whose names would be in those files.
I think
The
it's about
elite,
4 minutes,
the
you guys.
politicians, the upper echelon, the stars of Hollywood, stars of entertainment and of music. All of the names that we were wondering and waiting to see.
Sorry about
All of
that.
the names, one by one, each of us who have anticipated seeing written in ink, black and white, whose names would be in those files. And now we have them. 3 million pages. That's a lot of room for a lot of names. That's a lot of room for a lot of evil. Type of evil, let's just say, that won't get you into heaven. The type of evil that will ensure your name will not be written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Revelation 17. And I saw a woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, Yeshua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life, from the foundation of the world. And they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. And here is the mind which hath wisdom, which is basically biblical for get out your any-secret decoder ring, put your noggin to it, and your Holy Spirit to figure it out. 3 million pages have been released to the world. 180,000 photos, all encompassing pure evil, an evil that most can't even begin to comprehend. 3 million pages of names finally released to the world to see, so that now the world who has been wondering in anticipation, the whole world who shall now wonder whose names are not written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Did the Epstein files being released land us right there smack dab in Revelation 17? It certainly feels like it, but I don't know. You tell me. With the release of...
Okay, the latest with Auntie there we haven't played in a while.
Friendship.
All right, here now, the author of How to Test Negative for Stupid and Why Washington Never Will. It's our favorite senator, Louisiana
4
Senator
minutes.
John Kennedy. Senator, you work with people that want to defund ICE. You work with people that want to defund the police. You want to explain that to my audience?
Well, yeah. I mean, what you're talking about is Minneapolis. Let me just say a couple of things quickly, Sean. Number one, Governor Tim Walz. Whatever he says, believe the opposite. I'm sorry, the man learned to lie before he learned to talk. He's just a.
I can't help it. You crack me up.
Well, he's just a less masculine version of Hillary Clinton.
Oh man! Oh my gosh!
Number two.
You're already starting already, guys.
Tonight? Did you have dinner before? Keep going.
No,
keep going.
I don't even drink. I don't even drink. Number two, unless you have a history of disappointing your parents, you know that illegal immigration is illegal. And the Democrats are always telling us, nobody is above the law. Well, how come people who are in our country illegally are above the law? I support enforcing our immigration laws. Now, how you do it matters. It has to be done in accordance with due process and equal protection. The other point, people just need to understand, they have the right to protest, but they don't have the right to protest violently. Violence undermines the morality that they say their movement is built on. Dr. King understood that. Mandela understood that. Interfering with the police, protesting violently is also deep dish stupid. You can get hurt. The truth is, most cops, most ICE officials, they will leave you alone unless you do illegal stuff. And number three, Lindsay was on earlier. Sean, he's right about the sanctuary cities. Senator Thune, I love you like a taco, man. If you're listening right now, let us bring a bill to the floor of the United States Senate to get rid of sanctuary cities. And let's do it along with combating fraud under reconciliation so we don't need Democratic votes. Lindsay is right. It's time.
Senator, I will say this. They have done a great job. I'm not saying that they're all perfect, but I will tell you, they're working under the most difficult circumstances. I just had a congressman on, and he's calling them Nazi, Gestapo, and all of that. Don't you think that's insightful? Don't you think that that is dehumanizing? And don't you think they should be de-escalating as so-called leaders?
Look, I've seen the videos. We all have. These are people, these people are spitting on cops, and they're cursing cops, and they're cursing their children, and they're blowing whistles in their ears to try to affect their hearing. They're burning Christmas trees. They're blocking the roadways. They're kicking out tail lights. This is not peaceful protest. And I have great respect for the congressman that was on before me. But how can one person be so wrong about so many issues as the congressman? It's a gift, man. No disrespect, Congressman, but you need to eat more fiber. Just turn on and watch TV. Look at the videos.
It's sad. And, you know, they're making this job harder. Meanwhile, these guys are risking their lives. They're making our cities and towns
These guys
safer.
are just trying to do their job, for God's sakes. By God, leave them alone.
Amen. I can't improve upon that. We always appreciate you, Senator. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Okay, that was last night, I believe. Okay, we got Doug from last night. I heard LA riots got bad last night. Nine minutes on this one.
Don't worry, this won't hurt a bit. We're safely inside their cages. We're safely inside our tour bus.
Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the Happy Patriots are.
This is like a massive ice storm. I just came from San Diego. It was like being at the beach, so I'm getting these Costco pizzas because apparently the entire earth is about to run out of food. But I've got my thin California blood. I can't feel anything. I can't feel my feet, boss. Who lives here? It's 20 degrees. Part of why we're happy is right-wingers, we just don't do the violent protest. We have a very peaceful pro-life march, maybe once a year, and that's about it. We do a Christmas parade. The left, they throw liquids, they destroy property, they breach boundaries. We're going to get into that right here. One man in a MAGA hat peacefully attends the ICE protest in Long Beach, California. Oh, this won't go well. F Trump, they're yelling. Okay, and this is our man. One man with a MAGA hat. Versus that whole mob. By the way, this is what it's like to be a conservative Christian in animation in Los Angeles. I was the only one. And you have thousands of crazy people coming at you. Of course, they're going to get violent because they don't believe in a free speech right, guys. The left does not believe in free speech. They believe in punching you in the face, pounding you in the name of saving the country. They believe in violence. This will not end well for them. Throwing pencils, throwing white liquid at them. They've already got them. Probably bleach. This is in front of the Port of Long Beach. There comes the blob. Look at that, blowing liquids at him. Nate, they took his hat, threw it. Yes, yeah, kick it. private property. You're out in the street, met the felony. You went out and got her back. Good thing he's on rollerblades. They probably would have murdered him or raped him. The men probably were Democrats, but you know. Is this a fair fight to you guys? What is that? 30-1, 50-1, 100-1? Are these guys tough? Is this what a tough guy does?
You want to file free? Hit it.
Hundred to 1, real brave. I love how he's on rollerblades, so he can just stay ahead of them. What technology did it take? Oh, they're going to sprint after him. Get him. Faster. If you can get him to cross the street, Shrek might pick others. And they chase on. Kill him, get him. This is Lord of the Flies, is what you're looking at here. These people are violent, unhinged. This is what they think of free speech. He stood there wearing a MAGA hat in LA. Okay, now we're going to get into the self-righteous Democrats here. This is Jennifer Welch. Wait till you see how she describes. Look at this sneer. She says it's unchristian to call someone illegal. Look at this face. More Botox, please. I like this close-up of her face because then she really is right.
They are building concentration camps. I do not want bipartisanship with a regime that ships people to Alligator Alcatraz and then loses them. They're human beings.
Oh, sorry.
And the difference is they call them illegals. The MAGA Christians, the mega church, MAGA tongue-talking Christians call them illegal.
Wait. So now the MAGA church talking in tongues. Now we're all Pentecostals. I'm a Presbyterian, but they just lump you all in, guys. You're snake handlers. They believe you're the one. After we just now saw an inquisition of that one MAGA guy where they came after him, they were ready to hang him, put the scarlet letter on his forehead or burn it, tattoo it on his face. She's saying that we're the ones. We're the violent ones.
So they therefore feel that this cruelty is justified. I don't feel that. I don't feel like somebody is less of a human by putting the word illegal to it.
Do you feel like someone's less of a human if they're unborn? This lady, abortion is her state bird. They're trying to legalize eating the unborn.
That little 5-year-old with his little bunny beanie.
5-month-old. How about him? How about the 5-month in the womb?
Is in poor health. Keeps asking where his beanie is right now.
Where's my beanie?
Joe, get off on that. Do you think that's fun and cute and neat? There's thousands of little kids like that.
You mean like how you guys thought it was fun and cute and neat and you got off on Charlie Kirk getting shot in the throat and murdered and you guys all celebrated, laughed? Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean by us celebrating?
Custody right now. And you're saying bipartisanship? I cannot believe the conversations we're having in America right now and that there is so little opposition and resistance to this. Nothing this regime does is funny, cute, or neat to me anymore. And I will stand.
No, the reason that you're so upset is why it is funny, cute, and neat what this regime is doing. This is what I voted for. Part of it is you melting down as a Democrat and being distraught and in shock and teary-eyed because we're laughing at you because you are violent. You people are violent. You love violence and you hate free speech, and we love free speech. So I'm really here to laugh at you.
Up and come to this microphone every single day and use my privilege to highlight for the marginalized. And I'm an atheist, so I don't know why.
He's an atheist. I know some MAGA atheists too. I'm a Christian. I know some Democrat Christians too, kind of. I'm an atheist. Well, that kind of gets to the core of the whole thing. That's your whole party. Marxism is an atheistic worldview, political philosophy.
I seem to have more clarity.
In case you didn't know she was an atheist, there you go. Now we're throwing the words around. I get it. You're angry and you're tough. I get it. You're tough. Blonde, Botox.
On this than all of these hypocritical, hateful, white MAGA Christians. I'm so pissed off right now. They're building.
I'm a white MAGA Christian, and my existence makes her mad. If you walked around with a hat on in LA outside of that port authority, you will be chased by a mob. And that's why I'm laughing at her. She thinks they're the good guys. Obviously, we need to keep our head, because the Democrats want us violence, shooting each other, because they know they can spin. Anytime a Democrat shoots a Republican, they know they can spin it into, why did you make us do this? Look what you did to make us do this. That's the narrative. And then if a Republican, God forbid, should do any violence, which I don't know of any. I know that someone got shot by an FBI agent. That was not a clean shoot, but that guy was a violent protester. All of those ICE agents knew that he had assaulted a vehicle weeks before, and he was psychotic, spitting on them, saying assault me, spewing at them, making threats. All these officers were getting doxxed. So I don't want to, cover up for them having a hair trigger. You absolutely have to know the law and not spew out in violence ever. We keep this to free speech. We keep this to speech. And I think we're winning that war. I think the Democrats are going to make more mistakes and acts of violence than Republicans ever will. We're just not that hateful. We're not that prone to violence. We're not as mentally or psychologically just undeveloped and apathetic as they are, especially this atheist blonde lady. I'm Doug, in exile.
Okay, that's the latest on Doug. First one. We got 8 minutes on the next one. I don't think we played this, have we?
Yet. But there will be. It's clear as crystal that the root of all evil is exactly that, and those in whom it is blooming are the enemy of humanity. The bankers are the problem. The bankers manufacture recessions and depressions to exert a greater control over social and political structures. The bankers create and finance the wars on both sides of the conflicts. The bankers orchestrate famine, poverty, and want. The bankers control the policies that control the media and the education system that is operated to maintain ignorance in the public so that they can be shorn like sheep. The bankers launder the drug money and keep drugs illegal. The bankers are the problem. The international banker is the scum of the earth, and they have to be brought to account. What will accomplish this? There are several possibilities. One of them is a real run on Wall Street, where the public goes into their offices and dispenses frontier justice on their person. The other is some kind of cosmic intrusion of forces that I won't begin to speculate on. And the other is some kind of financial miracle in which they actually wind up broke. But I don't know how something like that would work. The most likely is a combination of the first two, where the second channels through the first. Once the cost of food, lodging, and fuel hits a certain point, the public will be universally galvanized by the force that builds up from the pressure of their asses against the wall. We can be there in a few days. Once the system begins to collapse, it will have its own speed of free fall, and things will move at a spectacular rate of change. It will be like the way weather can suddenly transform in the South Seas. At the point when this begins to occur, the probability of global conflict will accelerate to maximum thrust. This is the primary truth about imperial currency activity. When the money goes south, violent attention goes east. Yes, maybe it will all just limp along on crutches while plastered with band-aids, but that goes contrary to the mathematics. You can spread the numbers only so thinly. or you can only press them together so much, and you're going to get holes appearing in the net all over the place, or you're going to get implosion. Do I have any idea what I'm talking about? It is possible that I do not. There's an area where allegorical poetry gains a mystical influx of metaphysical certainty that is no different from the theoretical physics, where theory is just another word for things we don't want to accept as inevitable.
Yeah, sorry
Maybe
about that.
freedom's just another word
Her side
for no one
that.
left to screw. It stands to reason that sooner or later, the public will have no further option but to declare open season on the bankers. They'll be hunted down as the be-all and end-all of everything dangerous and wrong. They are a plague and a pestilence as bad as any epidemic. They are the whiskey and yellow fever blankets on the reservations of ordinary life. They are anthrax masquerading as sweet and low. They are the long-standing source of the majority of humanity's problems and have little competition except for the ubiquitous presence of ignorance and impossible dreams. Whoever these bankers are, that is who they are. When the shit hits the fan, as it is going to do at any moment, the guilt of the banksters is going to stand out like zits on a beauty queen. The transformation in the mind of the public is going to be immediate. People watch the news, and although it is nothing more than garbage and lies, the players have all been seen there. They've been seen in Congress, and they've been seen wherever the lies created to defend them have been publicized. They are a known quantity. There is no argument of any kind that can be used to generate sympathy for the bankers, who are either behind or finance every outrage against the public that is in existence. Now, their day is at hand, and they show no signs of having any kind of clue. They sit at their vanities and admire their image like Marie Antoinette. They whoop it up like Louis XVI in Versailles, surrounded by gold leaf wallpaper and sycophants, while they diddle the sons and daughters of a dying empire that they brought to pass. There is mercy to be found here, but none of it can be for the banksters who have acted with none in their intentional efforts to beggar, mutilate, maim, and destroy anyone and everyone who was not them. That mercy is for the public who, like Lefty, only did what he had to do. I try to get my heart and head around it. I try to see an out for everyone, but the only out I can see for the banksters is out of our lives, and marched still living through the gates of hell, where they can reunite with the banker-in-chief. I'm not the judge or executioner. I'm an observer who's never had enough money to even think about the banks in the first place. Now the bankers tightly grasp what is going to turn into flaming coals in their hands. Judgment is going to cry out from the earth they walk upon and have plundered at will. That will is now going to be drained away into fear and apprehension. Their fortress walls are going to fall away. Their protectors are going to turn on them. Their holdings are going to dissolve and spill from their fingers like a handful of sand. I wouldn't want to be a bankster today, or on any other day. The existence of a system has kept them safe. This corrupt system has allowed for some kind of life for those preyed upon until now. Now it has turned upon those whose compliance has been forthcoming for so long. Soon that compliance will be gone, and there are not enough police and armies to quell what is going to rise out of the midst. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but like everything else, we'll see.
Okay, our latest on the mask guy. Yep, that music was stupid. Why they have to play that? Yeah, Becky, welcome. Let's be respectful. Thank you. And have you been following me for a long time? Appreciate you coming in and supporting the channel. I got normally between 5 during the week, 5 or 6. So the next one is 11 minutes. I want to get this one out. It's very important. I cannot believe it's starting now in the middle schools now, you guys. This video, can't believe it.
I'm pulling my child today. This is my daughter's middle school. Being allowed to protest ICE agents, disrupting traffic, having everyone honk. I'm pulling my child from school today. This is fucking unbelievable. I'm here to pull my child from the school right now. I'm here to pull Remington Gates from the school district. You want to withdraw? Yep. This is unbelievable. I can't believe my kid is in this environment right now. I'm blown away.
Terrible.
Can she be brought
Terrible.
to the office right now, please? We have everybody out there. We'll get her. I'm blown away. As a mother.
So I can explain to you what we're.
This is disrupting traffic and my child's education. I need to see my kid. Okay. When she's down here, I will sign. Are you serious?
Because there's unfortunately some parental agreements where
every time I bring it in, she doesn't check it because she knows me. That's interesting.
I just want to make sure you're
Yeah, this is it. What about the other side? What about my family? This is amazing. As I walked up, I was getting booed by every single student. By the way, I'm making that known. Because I didn't honk, I pulled up to make sure everyone was okay. Absolutely not.
Did we already get your student?
No, not yet.
I mean, we called for him and everything else? Okay. Will you go make sure? Who's your student? Just
Remington Gates, 7th grade.
From stairs to here?
Absolutely.
And I want to be escorted to there because every single student booed me because I pulled up here, rolled down my window. Is everything okay? What's going on? To run into this? I didn't honk. I parked as soon as I walked up. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a huge problem, guys. I cannot believe that my child is in this environment right now. I'm ashamed and I'm embarrassed as a parent and as an adult. Wow, I thought my kid was safe here.
They're very safe here.
No, obviously not. I wasn't safe walking to the front door. Are you kidding me? I wasn't safe driving up. Most of these little gang members that cornered my child are out here too, so that's interesting as well.
Would you like us?
No, because
I'll walk out there with you, but would you like a second person to just our security guard as well?
No, I just need someone that can see if anything happens to me and my child. I don't trust people like this.
Can you please pop into the main office with me real quick, please?
And there's kids trying to learn right now, too. Wonder what would be going on if the other side was protesting.
What do you guys think, guys?
Hey,
Terrible.
Do we have the parents student? So we're gonna walk out together?
For sure. Yep. You're going to stay in between him and I. I prefer to.
It's gonna be a little bit slippery.
White Mazda. Where would I be able to pick up her transcripts so I can figure out education for her? The school district building, because I'm not coming back here. This is unsafe.
Email the registrar, Miss Tara Foy. She can email those straight to you.
Oh, Tara Foy.
Correct. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. Get in the car, please.
Help you so traffic can stop, and then
I'm
if you
gonna.
wanna,
I'm gonna whip around. They're protesting ICE agents. They're allowing kids to miss class, disrupt traffic, put people in danger. Well, this is what I was letting you know about. This was gonna start happening. Hold
3
my
more
phone.
minutes, you guys. Hurry up.
This is so dangerous.
All I gotta say is one's enough going to be enough. Now it's getting into the middle school now. It's going to get into the elementary schools next. Terrible. Ah. Darn it. I lost it.
So dangerous.
5 minutes.
Remington, you cannot be mad at mommy for what's happening now. This is not my fault, but you're not safe here no more. You can get a hold of Alex when school's over. We can pick her up. She can still come over and hang out. Cool with it.
He's not.
But we need to find a different safe school. I cannot believe what I just drove into.
Yeah, they were talking about a walkout, but I was like, I don't know what that is. I didn't know it was going to be this bad.
It's not a walkout. It's a straight up ICE protest right in front of your school. When I pulled up, I rolled down my window to the big African guy with the vest on right in front of the crowd. I rolled down my window. I said, is everyone okay? What's going on? And he said, protest. I said, is my child out here? He said, I don't know. I said, okay. And I parked and I came in and I said, I'm pulling my child from the school district right now. I started recording live. As I was walking up to the building, because I didn't honk, someone in the crowd saw me walking back up and got everyone's attention, and they all started screaming at me Just me. You're not safe here, and if you want to be mad at me, it's okay, baby.
I'm not mad.
I forgive you. I'm sorry. I did not expect this. I'm sorry, baby. I will let you pick whatever school you want. I don't care if I have to pay for it. My baby. I don't care if I have to pay for it. Any school you want that I can drive to within 30 minutes of home. I'm sorry, Rem.
There you have it, you guys. It's starting up. It is starting up. Make sure you guys have all your kids safe every day, because it could happen anywhere, anytime. When's it going to stop?
Fraud. It started because of illegal immigration and welfare fraud. The question is, will there be accountability in Minnesota and beyond?
There's got to be.
Other states, California.
Minnesota is one state. If you look at California, so in Minnesota, they think it's $19 billion. If they think it's $19 billion, triple it or quadruple it. And if we catch a lot of this fraud, and I felt it for a long time, but now we know what's happening. And the answer is, yeah, there will be accountability. It's one of the little problems. You know, I happen to think, and I've said it from the beginning, that a lot of what's going on with respect to Minneapolis, you know, with what's happening with all the hoopla, is so people don't talk about.
You think it's a distraction?
I've said it from day one. It's a distraction because
what
you don't see is that we have hundreds of accountants from Todd and from all of the different people. We have hundreds of accountants going over everything that's happening. And we're finding fraud on top of fraud on top of fraud. And I think that they don't want that to happen. You're talking about $19 billion. Probably that's a minimal number. Now, you take that and you go to California. You think California is better? I would say California is worse. It's totally out of control. They don't know what they're doing out there. The governor is, I actually thought he was a pretty nice guy, but he has no clue what he's doing. Look at a railroad. He builds a railroad. It's like 20 times more expensive than it was supposed to be. And what they did to get down the cost, they made it shorter so it doesn't go to San Francisco.
You saw what he said, right? He's claiming victory in Minnesota, by the way. He has posted that you have retreated in Minnesota, Governor Gavin Newsom, and he is encouraging people to keep the pressure up.
See, I haven't heard that at all because it's just the opposite. I was called by the governor yesterday. I was called by the mayor yesterday. How do we do something? Please, how do we do something? I think it's bad for them. I don't think it's bad for us. I think it's bad for them.
Yeah.
It must have been the video. Okay, thanks, Maria. Okay, Paul, or who was it? That's Flying Eagle. There's an alligator loose.
I'll pull it.
I'm just getting tired. I'll throw him out. Trying to make it mad.
You guys can't see the video? Okay, he's gone. So the next one is a video on med beds. I can't know if it's real, true, or what. Just let me know and I'll stop it, you guys.
Because I'm seeing more and more people getting scammed and robbed by supposed truth tellers claiming they have access to med beds for a fee. I want to share my perspective and clarify some important facts that could save you from being deceived. First and foremost, if anyone is asking you to pay for med bed services, they are scamming you.
I think she's warning.
Let me be crystal clear about this. The real military med beds, the ones that can actually cure anything, haven't been released yet. And when they are released, they will be absolutely free of charge. No registration fees, no service charges, no transportation costs, no accommodation fees, nothing. So if you're following people who claim to have med beds available but want you to fill out forms and pay registration fees, you're being deliberately misinformed by scammers disguised as trusted intel sources. Let me give you a specific example. There are people claiming to be sky prints who are all scammers. According to my sources with accurate intel about med beds, the real sky prince was Carrie and Thornton, and she no longer uses this nickname. So if you're still following someone using the name Sky Prince, you're being misled. Many people have paid these so-called truth intel sources and never received any med bed treatment because the real med beds simply haven't been released yet. So what exactly are the real med beds? Let me break this down for you. There are many types of devices people call med beds: celestial chambers, tachyon chambers, and various other technologies. Some folks use the name med bed just to attract attention and grow their business. But the one med bed that can cure everything here on Earth is the military med bed. These represent a groundbreaking advancement in healthcare that aims to bring the human body to optimal health without any of the side effects commonly associated with modern medical treatments like chemotherapy, radiation, or invasive surgeries. For those who are new to medbed subject, these aren't some scary advanced technology. They're based on natural principles. Medbeds use zero-point energy, plasma, and crystal technology. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand this. It's quantum physics applied to healing. Here's how they work. These pods operate on a quantum level, harnessing high-frequency vibrations and utilizing a combination of 3D scanners, refracting lenses, tachyon particles, and plasma energy. They use plasmatic energy instead of magnetics and radiation, tapping into the vibrational nature of the universe and the human body. This approach works on a subatomic and vibrational level, similar to how homeopathy works, providing multiple benefits without the need for pills, prolonged therapies, or extensive diagnostics. The capabilities of military medbeds are truly remarkable. They offer diagnostic support, advanced scanning technology that can accurately assess your body's condition and identify areas needing attention with surgical precision. Surgical repair, performing precise procedures with minimal invasion, reducing complications and promoting faster recovery. DNA reconstruction, this is where it gets really interesting. They can clear carbon-based DNA into crystalline DNA, facilitating genetic repair and optimization for enhanced health and vitality. General rejuvenation, stimulating cellular regeneration and revitalization throughout your entire body, promoting overall wellness and longevity. Organ regeneration, They can facilitate the regeneration of damaged or diseased organs, restoring optimal function and dramatically improving quality of life. When military med beds are officially released, you'll have access through a specific website or national phone number where you can call to book your appointment. Remember, they cannot and will not ask you for any money. Zero cost, including transportation or accommodation if needed. I know this sounds almost unbelievable, and that's exactly why people fall for these scammers, because many simply can't believe that something so incredible could be completely free. For those of you who are in desperate need of healing and cures, there are many ways to improve your health right now without waiting for med beds. You have more power than you realize. Raise your consciousness. Start living a healthier lifestyle. Exercise if you can. Even chair exercises count. Stop smoking, eliminate junk food, cut out sugars. Too many people are sitting in their comfort zones, just waiting for a miracle when they could be taking action today. The same quantum principles that will power these med beds. You can tap into them yourself through consciousness and belief. You've probably heard this before, but it's true. You have the power to heal yourself if you trust that you can. I know that in a world where traditional medical practices have long been the norm, emerging technologies like quantum healing are often met with skepticism, misconceptions, and even fear. That's natural. But these med beds aren't something to fear. They represent a revolutionary approach to healthcare, offering safe, effective, and non-invasive solutions for a wide range of health issues. By harnessing the power of quantum healing technology, these devices have the potential to completely transform how we understand and approach medical treatment. This is my perspective based on all the information I've gathered over the years. I'm not here to debunk myths. I'm here to share what I understand to be true as of right now. The bottom line is this: don't get scammed. The real military med beds will be free when they're released. Until then, focus on what you can do today to improve your health and raise your consciousness. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and remember, if someone is asking for your money for med bed access, they're not telling you the truth. Thanks for watching, and I hope this information helps protect you and guides you toward real healing. Whether that's...
So that was an important video, but she was right. Careful who you follow. I got two-part short clips. Next one here.
Mogadishu, and some of your listeners might remember, there were 18 Marines who went down, and they were killed and dragged through the streets of Mogadishu. So Bill Clinton's big idea was, well, geez, Somalia hates us. Let's bring Somalis into America and show them how great we are. Then they'll think we're wonderful. So sure, we bring them in, and you bring them to one of the whitest states there is, Minnesota.
Guys, sorry.
Somalia, it's hot there. Minnesota, we are freezing cold. We have snow. We're a walk-in freezer 7 months out of the year. So we're going to bring in a fraud-based culture into some of the most generous, naive people in the world. Minnesotans who are truly compassionate, loving, good-hearted, a lot of great sense of humor, self-deprecating sense of humor. So we bring a completely different culture. They're all Muslim, and you come into like Lutherans and Catholics and Minnesota. So they come in, Minnesotans are like this, big teddy bear hugs. Yes, we want to bring you in. How can we help you? How can we love you? Let's give you everything we possibly can. And the way that we're repaid is that we had everything stolen. We opened up the bank to them. They stole everything that wasn't nailed down. And you've never seen a bigger ingrate in your life than Ilhan Omar, who is the representative from the city of Minneapolis. Absolute America hater, absolute ingrate. She hates white people.
Our country should be more fearful of white man. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
I mean, you've never seen anything like it. Actually, the best thing that could happen would be massive deportation of this population back to Somalia and let them go ahead, like President Trump says, and fix their own country. So we'll see where it all goes. We have huge crime, and that doesn't even include all of the legalized theft, in some ways, in their minds, legalized theft that they've been doing through their so-called nonprofits. And really, it all comes from the Treasury. These are not entrepreneurs. They try to pat themselves on the back. Somalis think they're such genius businessmen. They aren't genius businessmen. They're thieves. They're fraudsters. And so the whole world knows it now. But what they do is they don't create independent wealth out of their work. What they do is they steal out of state government funds, local government funds, federal government funds. If they didn't have the treasuries, the wide open doors of the bank accounts of the federal government, the state government, and the local governments, they wouldn't have a business. There'd be no business. Everything is subsidized by the taxpayers. So what needs to happen is the door needs to slam shut. And that's what the Trump administration tried to do. I know, I think Secretary Rollins at the USDA, she wisely said, look, we're shutting down SNAP benefits because they've been absolutely ripped off and stolen in the state of Minnesota. One federal program after another. You find a federal program, there's a Somali with their hand out digging in that program, not just in Minnesota, in Columbus, Ohio, in the state of Maine, anywhere you've got a collection, and not just Somalis, it's other groups too. But it's primarily driven by immigrants from the third world, whether they came in legally or illegally. It's primarily driven by cultures that see theft as normal. And that's what's different. What President Trump has been trying to do, what Tom Homan now is trying to do, at least in my home state of Minnesota, he's trying to bring normal back. What normal is. We have to abide by laws. We abide by laws in Minnesota. If I don't pay my taxes, I have an audit, I have to pay my taxes. And that's one thing I want to encourage the IRS now under Treasury Secretary, might be Scott Bessent, who is in charge of the IRS now. This is a tip to him. There needs to be an audit of the tax returns of the Somali community. I will almost guarantee that they're not filing. I used to be a federal tax litigation attorney. That's what I did. I can almost bet that there's overstating of deductions and underreporting of income. And I would highly suggest a project where all of the Somalis and the different immigrant groups that have come into Minnesota, that's where you're going to do your forensic audits. You're going to see exactly what's happened and this money and where it's gone. And that's what needs to happen, is one forensic audit after another, after these so-called fake and phony nonprofits and the for-profits that they've set up. It's all found there. That was Bill Clinton's military.
Do you guys want me to go do part one or go on to the next 4 clips? I got Clinton and the Clintons on this one guy's channel. Has 4 clips. So I'll go back if you guys want me to.
Updates pertaining to the ongoing investigation into the 2020 election fraud scandal. Really, it was less of an election fraud scandal and more of a Democrat-led coup against the American people, against this republic.
And the first part,
and I'll tell you what, as things currently seem, we are all going to end up having our justice very soon. We also have some pretty curious updates today about the Minnesota fraud investigation. Folks, President Trump is not letting this one go. And that means accountability insofar as Minnesota fraud goes as well. very soon. Now, ladies and gentlemen,
part 2 was
something
good
I'd
enough.
like to show you here. Kash Patel made an appearance. FBI Director Kash Patel made an appearance late last night on Fox News talking about what went on at Fulton County, Georgia. They raided this election office. Hear it from FBI Director Kash Patel himself. He adds some insight here.
Patel, I want to start with the news, and the news is out of Fulton County, Georgia. I know this is an ongoing investigation, but the FBI on Wednesday did obtain a search warrant to look at this Fulton County election hub to access physical ballots, electronic ballot images, and voter rolls. Is there anything you can share at this moment?
Hey, Kaylee, it's great to be with you. Look, like any other investigation, the FBI follows the facts and the law, and President Trump and the Attorney General have given us clear mandate to reduce crime in this country and investigate anything that rises to the level of probable cause. And what we did, the FBI, with our partners at the Department of Justice, the AG, let out on an extensive effort to conduct interviews and an investigation, which led us to a probable cause to be delivered to a judge.
Now, ladies and gentlemen,
yeah, let me know if I played this already. This is part 2.
And the nation saw yesterday. And what we did was what we do in any other investigation. We went in there, we followed the rules of the search warrant. The FBI and the DOJ went in and collected numerous pieces of evidence that the judge authorized us to collect.
Folks, this is something that the Democrats do not want you to know. This is something that you're not going to hear on left-wing mainstream media. This is something the far left does not want to talk about. This raid that the FBI conducted 2 days ago, Fulton County, Georgia election office here, the FBI had a warrant from a judge. In order to get a warrant, in order to pull off this raid, to execute this raid, the FBI had to have probable cause. They had to have evidence of some wrongdoing having been committed here. This is what the Democrats don't want you to know. The FBI, the Trump administration here, folks, they put together evidence that the 2020 election was stolen, or at least what happened in Georgia was fraudulent or stolen. They put that evidence together. They put this evidence in front of a judge. The judge looked it up, read through the entire file, and said, "Oh my good Lord. Yeah, here's your warrant. Okay, here is your warrant." Warrants don't just materialize out of thin air. The judge looked at the evidence and said, "Oh my good Lord. Here's the warrant."
And what we're going to do next is go through the voluminous amounts of information collected and continue our investigation. At this point, there's not much more I can say publicly because we have to go through a lot more material, but it was predicated upon a finding of probable cause by a judge in Georgia.
That's
right. We'll continue to follow it. I want to move to the fraud that we have seen in Minnesota.
We're going to talk about Minnesota here in a second, folks. But first,
judge who found probable cause for us to execute that search warrant, which you saw
Okay.
and the nation saw yesterday. And what we did was what we do in any other investigation. We went in there, we followed the rules of the search warrant. The FBI.
That was part 2. I got 3 and 4. This is part 3.
stated, ladies and gentlemen, who attended this FBI raid in Fulton County, Georgia? Well, it was none other than Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. This is highly abnormal. Why would the DNI, why would Tulsi Gabbard attend this FBI raid at an election office? Why would that happen? Well, this is a great write-up here. You just know she deliberately, Tulsi Gabbard, let photographers see her there. It's not an accident that photographers got a look at Tulsi Gabbard and snatched a couple photos. Tulsi Gabbard wanted the photographers to know, because the press, the media is over there. You know, she's posing in front of the ballot boxes that are right behind her. What's that in the background? Bunch of ballot boxes that then subsequently got loaded into the truck, the FBI truck, and taken away. Tulsi Gabbard wants certain people out there to know that she now has the crude physical evidence in her possession. Tulsi Gabbard almost staged a little bit of a photo op. She wanted to be seen there. And so I ask you all a question. Why would the director of national intelligence be at this office? Well, listen, the reason why is if there was a national security threat. The only reason the DNI would be there at this raid, the FBI can handle it. She's there because there was a national security threat involved in this raid in this office. Well, what would constitute a national security threat here? Foreign election interference. That's what, foreign election interference. Is it a coincidence that, let me do the math, 27 days ago, Maduro was, something I want to show you. This is a big deal. This cannot be understated, ladies and gentlemen. Who attended this FBI raid in Fulton County, Georgia? Well, it was none other than Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. This is highly abnormal. Why would the DNI?
Okay, part 4. Sidney Powell's in this one, you guys.
Yesterday morning, who's an independent journalist. She's a former White House correspondent. She broke the news yesterday. It says, breaking news, former Dominion voting machine executive Eric Coomer has admitted to working with foreign actors in the 2020 election. We know this because court records just got released and made public. Are we all starting to connect the dots here? Maduro gets apprehended. Maduro is in charge of the Smartmatic voter fraud going back to 2003 under Hugo Chavez's presidency in Venezuela. It's Venezuelan proprietary election rigging software. Maduro gets apprehended 25 days ago. Yesterday, we have the FBI raid in Fulton County, Georgia, apprehending over 700 pieces of documentation. They had to get a warrant. The warrant, they must have had proof to put in front of the judge. Ed Martin, working at the DOJ, posted a picture with Sidney Powell this morning. Sidney Powell says, yep, that's right. It's all wink, wink. DNI, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, is on the scene. That's a little bit curious. Wonder why that is. Emerald Robinson, now we've got the confirmation. Eric Coomer, former Dominion voting machine executive, was working with foreign actors. We've got more information. On January 3rd, there he is right there. On January 3rd, Eric Coomer of Dominion Voting Machines admitted in court that he allowed foreign nationals, including, but not limited to, including Serbian employees, Serbians, to access the Dominion voting machines remotely in the 2020 election. Per court documentation. This contradicts his original claim that such access was impossible. Gets even crazier. Emerald Robinson, yeah.
That guy does a good job with his intel. Okay, we got Nick talking about Georgia. Minutes, guys, on this one.
To what evidence was presented to the magistrate judge that was so compelling, it got the judge to authorize a search warrant for the FBI to go in and seize those materials. Everybody's been trying to figure out exactly what evidence does the Trump administration have. And in this video, I'm going to present to you what I think it is. Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that average Joe, red-bearded MAGA ginger Nick Moseder, that makes videos in his guest room, knows for an absolute 100% fact that Donald Trump has had in his possession for at least a period of 2 years bulletproof, outcome determinative evidence of fraud from the state of Georgia. And while the affidavit is under seal and nobody has access to it because it's completely walled off from the public, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I am 99% sure that what I'm about to share with you is at the very least in part of the evidence that was presented to that judge. And how do I know this for sure? What makes me so confident? Well, because I followed the sequence of events. This didn't start with the FBI. This actually started with the DOJ being called on to intervene in a situation between Fulton County and the Georgia State Election Board. The Georgia State Election Board received evidence from a group of election integrity activists like Voter GA, Garland Favorito, Joseph Rossi, Kevin Moncla, David Cross, and others, all of which are people that I know personally and have spoken to directly, with the exception of Joseph Rossi. We've actually never spoken before. But they had evidence which they presented to the Georgia State Election Board, at which point the Georgia State Election Board started compelling Fulton County to produce records, which they didn't. And then the DOJ got involved. And so I have a pretty good understanding of, at least in part, the evidence that the DOJ has in its possession. And when you also consider the materials that they went in and seized, these are the precise materials which you would need to corroborate and validate that evidence. It's like a hand in glove situation. So I have an idea of the evidence that they have, and it just so happens that the materials that they went in and took are exactly what you would need to validate this over here. What I'm going to share with you guys today is actually a video that I did on Rumble 2 years ago, which has never been more relevant. Okay, this is a video titled "Bulletproof Evidence: Trump Won Georgia by 2,000 plus votes." And the content of this video, the evidence which we're going to talk about, I know for a fact that it was hand-delivered on a silver platter to Trump, and he almost went public with it before he took office again. He was going to do like an actual press conference and release the information to the public. But then I think some people in his corner, some attorneys, they told him, don't do that. Okay, go through the legal route, go through the legal process with this and keep it on deck. But now's not the right time. So he had this evidence way back then before he ever took office again. I know that for a fact because I know the people that delivered it to him. And he waited until now. Okay, it's all becoming relevant again. This is so incredible. And I can't wait to share this with you guys. But I want to address something first, because I recognize that there's probably a lot of people. I mean, we've gained, I don't know, something like 17,000 new subscribers in the past few months. And there's a lot of people out there that don't know the history. They don't know the backstory. Well, following the 2020 election, myself and a group of others, we were like the guys that were amplifying and platforming the grassroots patriots, the data analysts, the people that had lawsuits against the various bad actors involved in rigging the 2020 election. Everybody from Garland Favorito in Georgia to Liz Harris and her team of canvassers in Arizona. We were interviewing all these people and the late, great Bill Bailey, who unfortunately passed away, but he was an amazing patriot. He had the lawsuit in Michigan. But we were amplifying and platforming these people. And then what happened was an article came out from the George Soros-funded Media Matters for America titled "YouTube is Ground Zero for Fraudulent Election Audit Advocacy." And they listed all of our channels. And they basically said, these are all the guys that are amplifying election fraud conspiracy theories. And here's yours truly right here, Nick Moseder. You know, at the time, I had over 1 million views that month. My average daily views were like 40,000 a day. And we were really making a difference. But the moment this article came out, all of a sudden, most of us, not everybody, but most of us got banned within like 24 hours. At which point, you know, I went and tried to keep going on Odyssey and Locals and Substack and Rumble. And I was basically screaming into the void, and Telegram and True Social. I mean, I had like 7 different platforms, which I was making videos and written content and just trying to keep going. But you'll see, you know, this video, it got, I don't know, 12,000 views or so. And it was one of my better ones. But for the most part, they just took our legs out from under us. And only recently, they gave me my channel back. I mean, I submitted an appeal. I guess some changes happened in YouTube where they're allowing people like me back on the platform. And they gave me my channel back with 52,000 subscribers. And now we're back up and running. And just in the last month, we've gotten over 1 million views. So now what I want to do is I want to share with you something which I tried to get eyes on way back then, 2 years ago. I wanted this to go viral. I wanted people to see this. But unfortunately, I didn't have the platform or the means to do it. So now that, you know, the raid has happened in Fulton County, Now's the perfect time. And I want to show you guys that in this video, there's an audio message from a presenter, Kevin Moncla, who talks about how he has discovered and uncovered, along with others, outcome determinative, bulletproof evidence of fraud that Trump won the state of Georgia. And this evidence was later hand-delivered on a silver platter to Trump. Now, this is the very evidence which was presented to the Georgia State Election Board, which ultimately resulted in the Georgia State Election Board calling on the Trump DOJ to intervene and get involved because Fulton County wouldn't comply with subpoenas from the Georgia State Election Board. So the DOJ got involved based on the evidence that you're about to hear and ultimately executed a search warrant to seize the materials which would prove that this evidence was legitimate. Okay, so this evidence is very relevant to what's going on today. And so I want to show this to you guys. And I'm telling you, sooner than later, this is all going to come back around full circle. And it's going to be the talk of the town. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's go ahead and play the video.
Second complaint we have that is under investigation is the one that shows that there's 20,000 illegitimate votes that were added in the recount. 17,000 of them are missing ballot images. They just have the results, which is impossible. And then they have 3,125 duplicates that are included in the results. So they know this. We've documented it. The governor has reviewed our work and referred it to the state election board, who is trying to throw it away every day. So between those two complaints, it does result in a determinative amount, which yields a margin of victory for Trump and 2,000 votes, which is why they will not, they'll investigate it as long as they have to. It's literally the votes that Trump was looking for on the phone call and would destroy Fani Willis's prosecution. It's documented, bulletproof, undeniable.
And it's submitted as a matter of public record to the state election board.
Oh, yes. It is case 2023-025.
Okay, so you heard it directly from Kevin Moncla, and I want you guys to understand why this is such a big deal, because let's remember, Fani Willis and Jack Smith indicted Donald Trump and all the other co-defendants on the basis that they knowingly perpetuated the big lie that the election was stolen without any evidence to back it up, and tried to strong-arm state officials like Brad Raffensperger into overturning the rightful winner, Joe Biden, and his 2020 election victory, right? And this evidence that's sitting with the Georgia State Election Board, which has been confirmed as real and valid by Brian Kemp, is all that Donald Trump and all the other co-defendants need to vindicate themselves, prove their innocence, and at the same time, prove that the election, at least in the state of Georgia, was in fact stolen. Now, at the beginning of this video, I kind of alluded to the possibility that Trump was prepared to present this evidence at the press conference, which was later canceled. And I didn't just pull that out of my butt. I have good reason to believe that Trump and his legal team are in direct contact with these people and have this evidence in their possession and are prepared to submit it in court filings, along with much, much more. And that's why I was so excited to share this with you guys, especially considering what happened yesterday. I mean, this couldn't have come at a better time, and I'm very, very excited. So that was 2 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, and I was excited back then because I thought something was about to happen that never came to pass. But now action is actually happening, so you can imagine my excitement now. This all came full circle. You know, those of us that were persistent, those of us that held the line, it's happening. And so just to summarize, it's pretty cut and dry stuff. There was, a guy named Joseph Rossi who obtained the ballot images, which means, when you run a ballot through a machine, it gets scanned and a ballot image is created. Joseph Rossi, through a public record request, obtained all the images, and then he actually compared what the images show to what Brad Raffensperger reported in his hand count, because the hand count was actually publicized, so you could cross-reference the two. You could look at the hand count results, and you could look at the ballot images and say, do these match up? And the result was that there was actually 17,000 votes that were just completely fabricated. There is no ballot image to actually corroborate what Brad Raffensperger said was a legitimate vote. And there was over 3,000, I think it was close to 4,000 duplicate scans, meaning the same ballot was scanned multiple times. So there's at least 4,000 fictitious votes, and there was 17,000 votes created out of thin air. And Brad Raffensperger did that hand count to basically put all the claims to bed. People were saying that there was a problem with the machines, that the results were not reliable or trustworthy. So Brad Raffensperger commissioned a hand count, did the hand count on machines, then did an actual physical hand count, and claimed that the results matched the official totals. Well, that is not the case whatsoever. And it's already been proven. Joseph Rossi proved it, took the evidence, gave it to Brian Kemp's office. They gave it to the Georgia State Election Board. And at the time, it wasn't as conservative as it is today. In 2025, the Georgia State Election Board became a conservative majority. And so now they're actually listening to the evidence, and they're actually, they started trying to do something about it once conservatives took over the Georgia State Election Board. So all of this was basically memory hold and disregarded back then, but now it's all coming back. And so I wanted you guys to understand that it's not speculative. It's not speculative stuff. There is actually cut and dry, black and white, bulletproof outcome determinative fraud in Georgia that the Trump administration has in its possession. And these physical ballots, the ballot images, the voter rolls, the tabulator tapes, all of that stuff, when you compare and cross-reference it to the evidence that they already have, it makes it absolutely undeniable and verifiable and provable in a court of law, and charges are coming. Ladies and gentlemen, again, the magistrate judge agreed with the DOJ, the FBI, I should say, that there is evidence that a crime was committed. Took a look at the evidence and saw, yeah, looks like they commit a crime here. So if you don't think charges are coming, well, hang on to your hats, buckle your seatbelt, because you're going to be pleasantly surprised. If you're one of these black pillars, these doomers that thinks nothing's going to happen, I'm telling you guys, they have the goods. So ladies and gentlemen, I actually woke up this morning and got the idea to resurrect this old video from my Rumble channel from 2 years ago, because I have good reason to believe from all my contacts and all the things that I learned along the way that this is the very evidence that was in that affidavit, which was presented to the magistrate judge, which resulted in the search warrant.
Okay, that's another good video there, Nick. I'm going to show photos on the phone before the next video. It's easier. This is I guess I have to do it on a screen. So that's the first one there, you guys. John Wayne. Whitney Houston there. Charles Bronson. Got 3 more. Elvis. Steve McQueen. The last one here. And Michael Jackson. Are all alive, I believe. They're in protection list, like what Trump was saying a long time ago. Okay, we got a photo of Whoopi. Oprah private jet was at Epstein Island 11 different times. Whatever happened to all the girls that got kidnapped from the school in Africa? Okay, the next video, 8 minutes. Paul and Fine Eagle, let me know on these next few videos. See if we played or not. I can't remember. Hey, Terry.
Answer for you, a legitimate answer. And I'm going to back it up. You guys are about to be mind blown with what I have just found out. Now, I have been following a radical anarchist group for several years in my city. Specifically, I've been paying a lot of attention recently because there's been a little bit of talk about them potentially turning my local protests violent. We have not had ICE here in my local city. My local city just got done rebuilding after Helene. So we don't want to see our city get destroyed in violent protests.
On the weather, Terry.
Now, I infiltrated a couple of groups several years back, and I just kind of sit back and watch, because in these groups, this is where these organizations are putting out the flyers for when and where the protests are going to be, the flyers for the training drills they're putting together to teach people how to combat law enforcement. And tonight they released another flyer that had just a little bit too much information on it, unfortunately, for them. Tonight they put out a flyer, and again, I'm going to have all this on my book of faces. My name is Amber Arrowwood, with the tip line number that people need to call in the event that they think they see ICE in our local community. Specifically, what catches my eye on this flyer is it says, do not call law enforcement, call this number. We have teams that we can send out to verify whether it is ICE or not. And I'm like, well, then who is this? Let me look into it. Well, it's an organization called MICA. Only if you try to find MICA, you're not going to find a website. All of the links are broken and don't take you anywhere. So I continue my search on Google, and I come up with their website, only it's not called MICA. It's called NC Count Coalition. And this was a 501c3 that was founded back in 2017 to help with the 2020 census. They also now work with a ton of local minority groups, okay? And I'm talking anything from women's rights, LGBTQ, Jewish community, any type of minority group that you can think of, they have ties to. In fact, on their page, they have about 150 other organizations that they work with listed on their own page. They're massive. And all of the minority groups and organizations that they work with, this radical anarchist group that I have been watching also work with. Now, I did check into whether that radical anarchist group was a 501c3. They are not. They are considered a cooperative for profit structure. So technically they can't become a 501c3. However, they still kind of act as one. They still work with all of the same communities that the other works with. Okay, so they are working together. Now, on the flyers for the training drills, or like who's putting together some of these protests, it's listed that the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Asheville, which is a church, has actually also been putting some of these events together. It's listed there. Okay, you'll see it. They, again, work with all of the same minority groups that the other two organizations work with. Now, yesterday during the Ice Out Walkout protest, people were supposed to not go shopping, walk out of work, walk out of schools. So I got curious and I rode past that radical organization's headquarters, which is a local bookstore here. And they were closed, along with about 4 or 5 other businesses in that immediate area. Again, all businesses that work with them on this. Okay. Now, here's where it gets funny. Again, on that flyer, and you'll see it, it says that they have groups that they can send out to check whether or not it's ICE from those tip lines. And my first question was, is it possible that they're paying them to do this? We know that this is a 501c3 charity, but they have a huge reach. They are a huge 501c3, and they have a ton of board members, some of which are being paid. Okay, here they can pay their employees. 501c3s can pay their employees. In fact, and this is kind of messed up in my opinion, not only can they pay their employees an hourly wage, they can have their employees fundraise and use that donated money towards their wages as well. Now, a lot of 501c3s don't typically do this because obviously it's morally unethical, but it's still legal to do. So if you want to know how these people are being paid and who's paying them that are going out and actively tracking ICE agents, they're doing it through 501c3 organizations. You guys, I worked through Helene Recovery, very heavy. I had a lot of connections, a lot of 501c3 connections. The way that 501c3s work and become highly successful is by making those connections with each other. This one 501c3 here is literally connected to every other minority organization in my area and further. Okay. So you want to know how they're so organized. They are all legitimately connected to one another. I told you we had a viral YouTube video go out from Minneapolis calling for that walkout protest yesterday to go nationwide. It went out so quickly because it went out through groups like this. It's happening through 501c3s that are paying people to go out and do this. The ones that are putting the protest together are being paid through their own organizations. And the ones that are going out and tracking law enforcement are also being paid through these organizations. Now, I went through my city yesterday as these protests were starting to wind down, and they were all gathered around with a speaker. And I got video footage of that. I will also put that on my book of faces because it's going to tie right into it. When I was driving by, he was talking to them about how they needed to get organized, how they needed to get their friends and their families involved. They needed to be a part of organizations. And if they didn't like an organization that they were a part of, they needed to start their own. And him saying that makes a whole lot more sense to me tonight, because it's the organizations being intertwined with each other that have this so damn organized. And the way that they're being paid is off of donation money through these 501c3s that are coming out of y'all's pockets that are donating to them. Again, I'm going to have every ounce of proof that I have up on my Facebook. I'm going to compile it, put it all together right now, and I will have that public. My name is Amber Arrowwood. There's one W in Arrowwood. Now, you guys, this is a pretty stressful video for me to put out, because I realize what kind of situation that this is going to put me in. But this is information that the rest of this country has been asking and deserves to know. Please push this out. If you don't want to push my video out, make your own. You can steal everything that I put up on my book of faces and use it as your own. Just get it out there so that people understand what's actually going on. Yes, they are being paid. And the 501c3 charities and organizations are how they're doing it, off of donation money. And I'm not saying it can't go deeper than that. I'm not saying that there's not politicians involved. I'm not totally discrediting the Chinese conspiracy theory that Chinese is funding this. Maybe they are further down the line. But right now, in my local community, the people who are going to be out here trying to track the ICE agents, they're doing it through a 501c3. And that's what's happening. That's how that video went out. It went out to a few of those 501c3s and they shared it amongst themselves, and it went out instantly all over this freaking country. And that's how you instantly started to see flyers come out that we needed that emergency protest yesterday. You guys, do your very best to stay safe out there. And yes, I promise I will do my very best to stay safe as well. I also want to add really quickly that I had spoken in my previous videos about them having sister chapters. Well, it's basically the exact same thing as them just being connected with all of the other organizations. Now, the ones that are putting these protests together are being paid through these organizations, these 501c3 charities running off of donation money. The ones that are actively going out and looking for ICE agents are being paid through these 501c3s. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of talk, and even we had a local reporter during BLM and Defund the Cops that caught video footage of buses of people from other places like Florida coming in to help with these protests and incite the violence. And I do strongly believe that the ones that get shipped around to protest and make these turn violent, like what we're seeing in Minneapolis right now, are also paid. So I just wanted to add that little fact in there as well. Well, it's not a fact, but you know, that's my general consensus on that part of this issue. But yes, again, it is the 501c3s and the organizations like that that are funding and having these individuals go out here and do things like this. So you guys want to know protesters?
Okay, we got to keep an eye on that lady with intel. She did a good job. So, okay, I got Flying Eagle and Paul a job. Tell me when the videos are good or not, and if we've seen it or not. So here's one for them, another one. Another new lady.
Released documents about the firmament. Well, you didn't know? Well, let me show you. Let's get a little bit closer, shall we? This was released in 2000. It was originally done in 1957. This is the number you can look it up by. Firmament. You can find it on page 19. Here's where they talk about the near and local sun, flat earth, and firmament again, found on page 20. These images prove beyond a doubt that the CIA approved
this one's 9 minutes,
from 1957 that explicitly uses the word firmament, flat earth, near sun halo, and discusses the brightness behavior over a flat surface. This isn't a theory or a guess. These are their own words in declassified, peer-reviewed, Soviet scientific studied, translated, and archived by the CIA. The word firmament was scientifically used. They didn't use the word atmosphere. They said firmament, a biblical term for the solid dome above the earth, and they measured light along with it. Quote, the brightness of the firmament. And that proves that they were operating under the assumption of a contained system. And the word flat earth appears in print deliberately. Quote, giving some conclusions based on the assumptions of a flat earth. They weren't mocking it or denying it. They were basing measurable light calculations on it. What that means is that the math and the instruments that they And now we're going to go to the near sun halo. Quote, from a surface perpendicular to the near sun halo. That confirms that the sunlight was being measured as near and not from 93 million miles away. And note how they do not say that the sun is 400 times bigger than the Earth. The only way that makes sense in a high transparency, direct angle experiment is if the sun is local. Now, the CIA knew about it and they kept it. They approved it for release in 2000, but they researched it from 1957, meaning that this was hidden away for decades. They translated it from Russian, archived it, and then redacted parts of it.
Behind a KK.
Why would they do that if it was meaningless? They mention it over and over and over and over again in the Bible, right on the first page. They also changed this word to expanse in 1982. So all of the new Bibles say the word expanse, but people do not look up what words mean, and they count on that. But if you break up what the word firm means and meant means, and then go look up what the word expanse means. Expanse is just a play on words. Go to the Webster Dictionary, and expanse means firmament. Why would they go through all of that trouble to change it from this word to that word? This guy right here, Werner von Braun, was the head rocket engineer for NASA. On his tombstone, says Psalms 19:1, which specifically talks about the firmament. All of our ancient ancestors knew about the firmament. All of them. And just to think, is that the real reason why all of these rockets curve? And is that the real reason why the rainbows always curve? They don't go just straight up and out. And since this was done in 1957, and right after that, they created the Antarctica Treaty. And then right after that, NASA was created. And then they did Operation Dominic and Operation Fishbowl, where they were sending up high altitude nukes or rockets to possibly try and either see how high it goes or to try and break through it. And Dominic in Hebrew means belonging to God. And no, it's not the sky. It's a solid dome. Does Earth have pressure? Yes, Earth has pressure. And you can't have pressure without a container. And if you look up the Antarctica Treaty in Article 6, do not go to Wikipedia. You actually have to go find the treaty and read in Article 6. It says, the provisions of the present treaty shall apply to the 60 degrees south. And on this map, north is directly in the middle. South is Antarctica, the ice ring, because it's not a continent at the bottom of a ball. It's an ice wall that surrounds us 360 degrees. Circumnavigation is east and west around our home. These little indicator markers will show you where the 60 degrees is on both sides. It's right in front of the ice wall in the water, goes all the way around. See, 60 degrees, 60. Right in between the landmass and just before the ice wall. There are sensors in the water, and with the satellites in the air, they are watching. And for anybody who says that you can go to Antarctica anytime you want, that is not a lie. You can pay for a guided cruise to the peninsula, or you can have a guided flyby. Even if you work there, there are protocols that you must follow. Otherwise, you will not have a job. But you cannot independently explore Antarctica. So why else would our nations agree on this treaty for all of these years but we can't seem to get along on anything else. And another fun fact about this specific map, it was done in 1892 by Alexander Gleason, who is also a flat earther. The World Health Organization, the United Nations, the International Civil Aviation Organization, the International Maritime Organization, the World Meteorological Organization, they all use this map as their logo today. They do not use the globe. And their narrative is that it's a flattened out version of the Earth. No, because that's what it is. This is our home. This is what we live on. And could there quite possibly be more land beyond Antarctica? Who knows? With the treaty,
Almost
they will
over,
not
you guys.
allow us to go. We have to stay here in their little pond. The Bible never gives the exact dimensions of the earth. In fact, it could be more land, just like Admiral Byrd said, and James Clark Ross from the 1800s. James Clark Ross from the 1800s says that there are more lands. So did Admiral Byrd. But Admiral Byrd was a Freemason. And the way the Freemasons work, if you start telling the common folk, people, the truth about their home, they will no longer be living. And his son, Admiral Byrd's son, was found murdered in a warehouse. But I'm sure that's just all a coincidence. Now with this map, you can find it at Yale University. If you want it, let me know. I'll get you the link. This down here tells you how the sun goes around our home, with the summer solstice over here and the winter solstice over here. Then you have your scale right down here. And this triangle right here represents the sundial. And these little dots right here is the firmament. Hey there.
Okay, that's another new lady there that does the intel. A lot of new people coming out with good stuff. Okay, I got one for you, 4-minute one though. It's that one guy on Telegram.
Interview tonight. It's a follow-up to the Captain Kyle show where people just had a lot of questions, and we thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and do a follow-up. But I want to talk. We're going to talk tonight more about it. But I want to talk about what's been happening over the last few days, or for the last week. So the last week, I've been working with our trustee, and we've been trying to get paperwork like aligned and stuff like that. However, something interesting happened. We noted that Tom Holman was on the ground, and he was in Minneapolis. And just so everybody knows, ICE got to Minneapolis the day after I picked up the rental vehicle and went to Wisconsin to put in the vault and the armory in Duluth, which that armory has now been transferred. And the U.S. Marine Corps has been requested to take regulation of that armory that's up in Duluth, Minnesota. Secondly, I woke up yesterday, and as I was thinking about it, I realized that all of the courts that we have are foreign courts. They're actually foreign federal administrative courts, and they're not domestic courts. And our domestic courts come from Article 3, and I realized that we actually needed a admiralty and maritime court in the United States. We don't have any admiralty or maritime courts. Well, the problem is, like, everyone knows about this whole concept of everyone's lost at sea. Well, the problem with lost at sea is you have to come through maritime law to admiralty law to equity law, and if you go high enough, you get to general law, right? But the problem is it's a ladder. It's a steps. Okay, if everybody's lost at sea, then you have to come in on maritime, right? Everybody's seen The Martian. He talks about if there's no country can claim the soul, then think about it this way: if no country can claim, it falls to maritime law. Well, the problem is we have no domestic maritime court. So yesterday, I finished all the paperwork. I got all the notaries done, got everything done. And yesterday, we granted limited access to the U.S. Navy to administer an admiralty and maritime court. And it was sent to the President of the United States in the White House complex, who's also chairman of the Board of Peace. And it was sent to the Secretary of Defense, because this is an Admiralty maritime matter, so it goes to the Secretary of Defense, does not go to the Secretary of War. And it was sent to our international location in Miami. Additionally, today it was served to the City of Punta Gorda city manager, Charlotte County county administrator, and the comptroller for the Charlotte County Justice Center. And that's where we assigned a quartermaster, and we have granted limited capacity to grant quarters and assistance, but we denied housing in private residences. So, and that's part of Article 3 or Amendment 3, which technically would then fulfill Amendment 3 on both sides and would actually activate Amendment 4, which is due process of law. So if everything goes correctly, everything's been sent, and we should have at some point in the near future a Admiralty and Maritime Court coming out of Charlotte Harbor and Charlotte County, Florida. And we'll see what happens. So God bless and Godspeed. We'll see you tonight.
So that's our update guy from Telegram. Yeah, I think you did say that, Fine Eagle. Here's another one. It's 8 minutes, followed by a 3-part clip with the Clintons. I might go ahead and stay till 6 o'clock, you guys. There's a lot of intel out. I feel okay to go longer. Showing you going, buddy. Yeah, I can't remember if I played this or not.
The world who don't know each other have received the exact same message, that there is a plot to kill President Trump. Now, we all know that. We know that his enemies want to destroy him, but listen carefully. When people, thousands or even tens of thousands of miles apart, who don't know each other, who are not connected on the internet or social media, who are completely separate from one another, are receiving the exact same warning at the exact same time about the exact same person, that you know that God is speaking. He is warning us, and he's calling us to rise up in powerful prayer for President Trump. We can be fools and idiots who ignore this and just keep scrolling, and or we can be true warriors who hear the call from on high and who realize we are indeed in a war. And what President Trump is doing is completely abolishing the agenda, the structures, the plans, the networks of the satanic elites worldwide. He is their greatest threat at this moment. So guys, please forward this video. I'm going to pray here, and I'm going to ask you to pray with me. If you're not used to this, that's fine. But we need to stop being fools who ignore the important warnings and open our eyes. I am right now with my family. I am packing to move to California because God is calling us there. I'm dropping everything because I've been hearing these messages from several people. And just now I read from yet somebody else in Florida who said, God gave me an extremely alarming dream.
Okay.
And she told me what it's about. I'm like, this is very serious. This is very real. So I'm dropping everything to make this video. That's why I have none of my lights on. I'm in my working clothes. Then I want to pray. And I want to call you to pray with me. So, Father, I just ask you that you would pour out your fire upon the enemies of justice, the enemies of truth, the enemies of humanity, the enemies of all that is good. I ask you, Father, to pour out your judgment upon the wicked in the earth who are doing everything they can to destroy your creation, to destroy your people, your children around the world, to destroy everything that brings forth life. Father, I ask you that you pour out your fire, that judgment would come upon those who are trying now to kill President Trump. I pray, Father, that you remove everything that is empowering them, that you remove everything that is enabling them. And I pray that you release your fire, that they would be consumed, Lord. Father, I pray that not President Trump would be removed from the earth. I pray, Lord, that you would send forth the angel of death to destroy those who seek to murder your children in the earth. I pray, Father, that you release your fire and your judgment to remove from this life the very people who are plotting to kill President Trump, those who murder children and sacrifice them to Satan, those who rape children, those who torture children, those who go into the deepest realms of darkness to commit acts that are not even comprehensible, that cannot even be expressed in words. Father, enough is enough. I pray that you put an end to the endless, an end to the indescribable evil that has been going on in this world. And that President Trump is busy putting an end to the poisoning of the food, the poisoning of our minds through education, the lies of the media, the corruption in the governments, the wars, the mass slaughter. Father, there's so much evil in this world. And the wicked want to protect it. They want to continue it. They want to kill Trump because he's putting an end to all of it. So, Father, I say in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I say no. No, President Trump, Donald J. Trump will not be assassinated. He will not be killed. He will not be removed. But the ones who are plotting against him, they will be judged by the Most High God. Father, let it be so. Father, I declare blessing over President Trump and Melania and over all their beloved ones. I declare blessing, Father, your goodness, your mercy upon them in the name of the Lord Jesus the Christ. Father, I pray that you remove the blindfolds from America, where the people are still so mind-controlled that they can't even see what you are doing, that they don't even understand how this nation is being liberated by you, how you are using an imperfect but a very passionate and pure vessel to execute your judgment over evil and to bring deliverance to this nation and the world. Father, I pray that you open the eyes of humanity, that the truth would come forth. Father, let your voice be heard in our heart, in our mind, in our life, in the media, and let the truth break forth as never before. Father, let your will be done with President Trump. Let all the plans of the enemy be canceled. Let those who serve Satan, let them truly come under your full and unrestrained judgment, Father, both in America as worldwide. Let the end come to the rule of evil. Let the end come to those who serve darkness. Let the end come, Father, to those who commit crimes too incredible to describe. Let the end come, Lord, and let healing flow over all of humanity. In the name of Jesus Christ, we declare your blessing, your protection, your glory over President Trump and all his beloved ones and all the people who truly serve him. Let your will be done in America and in the world, Lord. In Jesus' name, because yours is the kingdom and yours is the glory and yours is all the power, Father, now and forevermore. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, that's my prayer. Please share this. We need to kick people in action to start praying and to start saying no against evil, no against the forces of darkness, no against Satan and all his pawns, and saying yes to the God of creation, to his healing and deliverance for humanity. Yes to truth, yes to breakthrough, yes to a new day where the people breathe free again. Pray for President Trump until it's your very last breath. Thank you very much.
Yep. I'm glad I played that. Shoot. Okay, this is part one.
Future Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Bill Gates were written inside Jeffrey Epstein's black ledger of power. What if the very architects of progress had been funding the same shadows they promised to destroy? And what if tonight the Department of Justice's most guarded secret, the Epstein files, finally broke free, dragging those names into the light at 2:14 a.m.? The Department of Justice was no longer the safest building in America. A thunderstorm crawled over Washington, thunder shaking the glass of the Hoover building. Inside, red lights pulsed across the 9th floor like open wounds, alarms screaming through the silence. Lines of code flickered across a black screen faster than a heartbeat. Somewhere behind that storm of digits was a single phrase typed into the system console. If truth dies in silence, let it scream through code. Quote, there's people times where he called himself the archivist, a ghost in a hoodie, face hidden under the dim light of the monitor. No ideology, no accent, no trace, just an obsession. He had found a way into the DOJ's deepest vault, the kind of access reserved for God or the guilty. 3 million files, 2,000 videos, one vault the public was never meant to see, the Epstein files. The download bar crawled upward, -ye, -R, then froze, glitching like the system itself was fighting back. Names began to surface, white letters bleeding across the screen before vanishing again. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Bill Gates. 3 names that had built empires on charity, diplomacy, and code, and now they shared the same file. In the digital dark, a single thought pulsed through the hacker's mind. They buried a monster under marble. Let's see if marble can scream. He hit enter. The system trembled. A chain of internal servers began to collapse like dominoes. Outside, lightning tore the sky in half. By 2:16 a.m., every major news network had gone live. Breaking news, a massive DOJ data breach sources say classified files on Jeffrey Epstein are leaking in real time. Across the country, half of America woke up to push notifications. The other half refused to believe them. In less than a minute, social media exploded with the same 3 names, Clinton, Clinton, Gates. The old ruling class suddenly looked human again, corruptible, connected, terrified. FBI headquarters, cyber division, 9th floor. Kash Patel arrived with his jacket unbuttoned, his phone still buzzing from the 20th call of the night. The floor looked like a war zone made of keyboards. Screens flickered red. Voices overlapped analysts shouting. Printers spitting reports. What if the names once...
Okay, part one. Now part two.
in his chair. It's not an external attack, sir. This came from inside the DOJ. Someone gave the hacker root access. Patel froze. Inside, the tech nodded, pale. With administrator clearance, the room fell into a strange kind of chaos. No silence, just the wrong kind of noise. Every second beeped, clicked, or rang with guilt. Patel's instincts sharpened. He'd seen leaks before, even coups disguised as hacks. But this was surgery. Someone had cut the artery of America's law enforcement from the inside and let it bleed into the world. He grabbed the comm line, "Get me Bondi." On the other side of the city, Attorney General Pam Bondi was already awake, standing barefoot in her kitchen, her phone glowing under the cold fluorescent light. The moment Patel's voice came through, she didn't bother with greetings. "Root access, Pam," he said. "That means someone high level wanted this to happen." Is scene events. She listened, eyes fixed on the rain running down her window. Then her tone changed, low, controlled, surgical. "Then don't seal the wound, Cash. Let it bleed." He hesitated. "Excuse me? If this leak burns through the system, let it. We can't drown fire with water, we burn it with sunlight." The line went dead. By 3 a.m., the storm over Washington had turned biblical. Sirens wailed from every agency building. Helicopters circled above the DOJ as if they could catch guilt from the air. Inside, analysts traced the breach backwards. Every path led to a single login under an alias, Echelon Protocol. When the words appeared on the master screen, the room went quiet for the first time. The phrase wasn't in any FBI manual. It was a myth whispered among old counterintelligence officers. A failsafe buried decades ago, meant to activate if the Justice Department ever fell under internal corruption. A digital dead man's switch for the Republic. The main monitor flickered again, and new text appeared glowing white against black. Echelon Protocol active. Patel stared at it, the reflection of the letters burning into his eyes. He whispered, half to himself, "God help us. Someone's pulling the rug from inside the temple." Around him, the noise built again, phones, shouts, the roar of a nation realizing it had just stepped into its own scandal. On a live feed, newscasters debated whether the files were real or another disinformation op. But the faces in the leaked metadata, blurred, terrified, familiar, looked too real to fake. As dawn crept over the Capitol, Bondi stepped into her car. Her driver asked softly, "Ma'am, where to?" She looked toward the skyline where the Washington Monument pierced the gray clouds like a blade. "The Bureau," she said.
Okay, last
"Before
part.
the truth burns the country down, I want to see who's..." "Talk to me," Patel barked. A young...
Then I got another one that's 20. That's going to be another good one. So like I said, I'm doing okay so far. Well, this is part 3.
Whispered about whistleblowers from inside the DOJ. Yet, underneath the noise, the truth was moving with surgical precision. Gabbard's office traced the origin of the leak to a classified server at the Department of Justice, an archive that had remained sealed for over a decade. No external intrusion, no foreign IP. This wasn't sabotage from abroad. It was exposure from within. Tulsi watched the analysis scroll down her monitor. "The story they built to destroy Trump," she said quietly, "just turned into a mirror. But I want..." By mid-morning, the Congressional Committee on Government Oversight had announced an emergency hearing, official memo, to review the authenticity, origins, and implications of the Epstein files. Outside Capitol Hill, the press corps gathered like vultures circling a fresh kill. Helicopters droned overhead. Metal barricades rose like ribs around the marble steps. Inside, technicians tested microphones, senators rehearsed outrage. Everyone knew what was at stake. For years, the left had accused Trump of being Epstein's shadow guest. Now, the shadows had faces, and as one journalist whispered to another over the hum of live microphones, the files were meant to bury Trump, but they just exhumed the Clintons. Somewhere deep inside the Capitol, a red light blinked on a recording device. The first hearing was about to begin. The storm had found its name. The fallout, the next morning, Washington looked like a stage that had forgotten its script. The Capitol dome, normally serene in its marble confidence, stood against a sky that looked bruised from last night's chaos. But beneath it, the air vibrated a swarm of cameras, reporters, protesters, and political vultures, all waiting for the first crack of sound from the hearing chamber. Inside, the corridors of Congress pulsed like arteries under pressure. The floor trembled faintly from the rhythm of shoes, the clicking of cameras, and the unrelenting chatter of journalists. Flashes burst like lightning. Keyboards clattered like rain on metal. Every journalist wanted the same shot. The moment power met its own reflection. The doors to the hearing room opened. Tulsi Gabbard entered first. Calm, unhurried, she carried the weight of silence like armor. Her hair was tied neatly, her face unreadable. She didn't need to project authority, the room adjusted to her. Every flash followed her movement. Behind her, Pam Bondi walked in sharp heels that echoed off the marble floor like hammer strikes. A thick dossier sat in her hands, the kind of file that could redraw political maps. Across the long wooden table sat the Clintons. Bill leaned back, expression neutral, but eyes flicking sharply between cameras. Hillary, in a slate gray suit, upright, composed, with that familiar blend of pride and irritation. The air between them wasn't just tense. Some claim the photo was AI generated.
Okay, update there with the Clintons there. Okay, here's another important one coming up. If I can make it through here. Oh, darn it. They won't let me play it. Darn it. Now I'll go and do the other ones here. We'll get the other ones. We got. Did we play this one yet?
It is a military-grade regime change operation right here in the United States. It starts with Dr. Maria Stephan, the CIA regime change veteran who probably trained every single rioter on the Minneapolis streets. Here she is on the Colbert Show talking about the frog costumes everyone saw in Portland and now in Minnesota.
I love some of the things that I've seen this past year, like all the frog costumes in Portland.
So the frog costumes, like, it has lit people on fire. Young people are inspired. It's a way for people to show up, to get involved.
I think also people don't look like a threat when they're an inflatable frog costume.
Yeah.
It really drives home the whole thing, like, they've got guns, I've got a little fan on my butt.
Exactly. Yeah.
While the media claims these are organic revolts against President Trump, the evidence in this video will prove otherwise. We are witnessing a textbook color revolution directed by the exact same regime change veterans the CIA used overseas, like Dr. Maria Stephan. And in this video, I'm going to show you the names, the files, and exactly who is pulling the strings. Winning this battle requires seeing the full map. We need to look past the foot soldiers on the street and identify the captains and lieutenants, the people trained in regime change operations under Barack Obama and Joe Biden. And we need to open the files of the National Endowment for Democracy, USAID, and the U.S. Institute for Peace if we're going to solve this. I'm Barbara Boyd. I've followed the NED and its offshoots ever since Ronald Reagan first called for a, quote, global infrastructure of democracy in his 1982 speech to the British Parliament, a speech that laid the groundwork for the very apparatus now turned inward against us. Today, I'll break down Mike Benz's new report on how these tactics are driving the chaos in Minneapolis as part of a seditious conspiracy to overthrow President Trump. Then I'm going to expose the NED's role in color revolutions. Then finally, I'm going to tell you how we defeat it. But before we dig in, please like and share this video. It's the only way to break through the algorithm. In her Monday update on this channel, Susan Kokinda pointed to USAID veteran and Minneapolis Emergency Service Director Rachel Sayer as what is happening.
Okay, that was part one. There's 4 parts.
Revolutionists deployed now against President Trump. As a reminder, here is Sayer's admitted background and seditious rhetoric from last Saturday.
My background is an international humanitarian response in conflict zones in Yemen, Haiti, Syria, Iraq, and Ukraine. What I've seen here is what I've seen there. A powerful entity violently and intentionally terrorizing people.
And yesterday, investigative reporter James O'Keefe released a shocking video showing the deep levels of funding and training of the street rioters in Minneapolis. O'Keefe says that the people on the streets are from a highly trained network of NGOs and unions like the SEIU and Road to New York, who receive direct and indirect U.S. government funding. Most importantly, he says they are willing to kill and die for their cause.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying, and the reason why is because there's no one there to help. Like, there's no police. The police have stood down. I mean, you tell them they're press. We have more footage. They'll kill you. They don't care. Anybody who's not them is their enemy. If you are a journalist, you're a Fed. And I was trying to reason with them, Megan. I was trying to talk to them rationally. Like, I'm not here. I'm not taking a position for or against ICE. I'm a reporter. They said they'll kill me. So that was kind of perhaps a glimpse into the future, I suppose.
Representative of the former U.S. and British sponsored color revolutionists deployed now against President Trump. As a reminder, here is Sayer's admitted background and seditious rhetoric from last Saturday.
My background is an international humanitarian response in conflict zones in Yemen, Haiti, Syria, Iraq, and Ukraine. What I've seen here is what I've seen there. A powerful entity violently and intentionally terrorizing people.
And yesterday, investigative reporter James O'Keefe released a shocking video showing the deep levels of funding and training of the street rioters in Minneapolis. O'Keefe says that the people on the streets are from a highly trained network of NGOs and unions like the SEIU and Road to New York, who receive direct and indirect U.S. government funding. Most importantly, he says they are willing to kill and die for their cause.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying, and the reason why is because there's no one there to help. Like, there's no police. The police have stood down. I mean, you tell them they're press. We have more footage. They'll kill you. They don't care. Anybody who's not them is their enemy. If you are a journalist, you're a Fed. And I was trying to reason with them, Megan. I was trying to talk to them rationally. Like, I'm not here. I'm not taking a position for or against ICE. I'm a reporter. They said they'll kill me. So that was kind of perhaps a glimpse into the future, I suppose.
Representative of the former U.S. and
Okay, the next one will be part 3.
attitude in the Washington Republicans who must fight now for President Trump and for our republic. Yesterday, also, Mike Benz came out with another one of his deep dives into the players in this continuing insurrection. It throws a deeper light on what James O'Keefe is talking about. Ben starts his deep dive with the January 22nd inflammatory appearance of Dr. Maria Stephan on Stephen Colbert's late night show. She was hyping the tactics being used by the Minneapolis Color Revolution rioters. It is more than probable that Stephan has played a master role in the training of the Minneapolis street rioters. Here's Mike Benz discussing Stephan.
The U.S. Institute of Peace instructed its sponsored riot mobs to block roads, occupy government buildings, and deliberately seek to get arrested. This is Maria Stephan.
Third category of nonviolent tactics is nonviolent intervention. These include such actions as sit-ins, blocking roads, overloading facilities, establishing parallel or alternative institutions.
And we saw establishing parallel, or that means creating CHAZ or MAZ in Minnesota. We saw in her training guides what she means by establishing like the parallel institutions. She means like establish parallel zones of control. It's literally the U.S. Institute of Peace, which is CIA, riot planning network. NED, USIP, CIA, they all use the same best practices.
O'Keefe is from.
Okay, last part with her. Oh. Where's part 4? Well, actually, there's 5 parts, you guys. There's 5 parts.
Please subscribe to our free newsletter. It will give you the sources for our videos and a lot more in-depth content. The link is in the description. Now, about the National Endowment for Democracy. The 1970s Church Committee investigations exposed and crippled the CIA's regime change operations. So they needed a new vehicle, one with plausible deniability. Enter the National Endowment for Democracy. The NED campaigns under the flag of, quote, promoting democracy. But here's what it actually does. It recruits dissident politicians, journalists, trade unionists, and corporate leaders in targeted countries. It trains street agitators, and it coordinates the media narrative to make regime change look like a popular uprising. The structure is designed for maximum reach. You've got the National Democratic Institute and the International Republican Institute. That's your political parties. The Solidarity Center handles organized labor. The Center for International Private Enterprise, an affiliate of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, brings in the corporations. And in 2006, they added a media arm, the Center for International Media Assistance. Did you catch that?
6 parts.
Congressmen and senators sit on the NED's board. They went from overseeing intelligence operations to participating in regime change. Working alongside USAID and the U.S. Institute for Peace, the NED ran color revolutions, national drama. If you want to dig Maidan coup in Ukraine, and George Soros' Open Society Foundation, the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, they all work directly with the NED, providing funding and receiving government grants in return. And then came 2016. With President Trump's election, this entire apparatus was deployed here against the American people. Censorship, controlled media narratives, total social media manipulation. The same playbook they used to overthrow foreign governments was turned inward. Now, President Trump has reorganized and defunded both USAID and the U.S. Institute for Peace. But Congress has refused to touch the NED. In the latest vote, 81 Republicans joined the Democrats to keep this regime change machine fully funded. Think about that. 81 Republicans. So how do we defeat this? Well, President Trump was in Iowa yesterday presenting his American System economic revolution to the American people. He plans to campaign for the midterms like they were a presidential election. They are. If we allow the Democrats to control either the House or the Senate, Trump's America First foreign and domestic economic revolution comes to a grinding halt. If spineless Republicans are allowed to keep acting spineless, we will have a similar result. The type of sedition being practiced here is a form of cultural warfare, akin to what the Chinese call people's war. Across the globe, the air.
Okay, the last part with her. Part 6. Then I got Doug and one Doug left, one Benny, and the other lady with 3 parts.
Use of direct and overwhelming force to achieve victory. James O'Keefe saw the true nature of the problem when he said the Minneapolis insurgents are willing to die for their cause, and Washington's Republicans, as presently constituted, lack the political will for victory. President Trump has more than demonstrated that he has that will, standing up from an assassin's bullet and beseeching us to fight, fight, fight. More than anything else, this is a war of the spirit. Our founding and our history reject the idea that humans are like beasts living by the rules of the jungle. Instead, our founding documents and our best history celebrate our participation in God's divine creation. We use our talents to increasingly perfect life here on earth for future generations, for the children. On the 250th anniversary of our founding, our citizens need once again to embrace that divine mission. If we do so fully, we'll win this war. By bringing forward the full might and beauty of our cultural and spiritual history, Promethean Action is strengthening the will of this nation's patriots. Government of the people, by the people, and for the people, as President Lincoln said, is worth fighting and dying for. It is the only form of government consistent with the divine nature of human beings. We need you to join us in this fight. We are scaling up now to produce more content, more knowledge, more tools to win this battle. You can help us do that by joining our community, subscribing to our newsletter, and organizing with us for an overwhelming.
Okay, that was a good set there with 6 clips. Her partner, I got 3 short ones. This one's 9 minutes.
But this is the Democrat Party putting their money, guys like George Soros, communists, putting their money into these ICE protests because they believe it will help their campaign in 2026. And that's what we're here to expose. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. Shout out to the Quad Club, the people that watch all 2 videos a day that I've been putting out. Just Quad Club is from back when we did 4 videos a day. But it's the same people. It's the same content. I'm still here. Welcome. Watch this exposure of the secret group funding these protests.
Fatal shooting of Alex Preddy. And now a Fox News digital investigation is finding that far-left agitators were already mobilized and tracking federal agents before that deadly confrontation, pushing anti-ICE rapid responders, they call them, to flood the scene and escalate tensions. It's raising questions about a possible coordinated action.
In this network are self-described socialist Marxist Leninists. They are indeed on the streets. They have guides on how to track, monitor, and harass these federal agents. Signal is where they sent many of their first responders, their rapid responders, as they call themselves, to the donut shop.
This lady, we have to get this lady named Nomani, who's brilliant on this stuff. We have to get this lady, her message out to Trump. So focus on retweeting this episode, put in real Donald Trump anywhere in the title. This lady we need to find out about. She's fantastic, calls out them being Marxist. And remember, when she says that they are here to harass federal agents, that's illegal. It's against the law. So if they're being paid to harass federal operations, federal arrests, that's against the law.
Before the killing happened Saturday morning.
And I'd just like to add that it seems, at least for the time being, the situation has been de-escalated by the president a little bit. Tom Homan going up to Minneapolis, and the president was asked before he boarded Air Force One to Iowa whether or not he would fire Kristi Noem. The answer was one word. It was no. But he has spoken to Tim Walz, the governor of that state, and both sides said that they had a productive conversation.
So though Trump moved Kristi Noem up the ladder back to Washington and put Tom Homan back in her place, it's fake news. And we did imply that she could be fired. And so that All In podcast or Mark Halperin, that was fake news. And he claimed he had insiders saying that she was in trouble. And now we find out Kristi Noem is not in trouble. Trump is not going to fire her. He said no.
Having said that, let's look at what leads up to this, because I'm particularly fascinated by some of these signal conversations, how the far left activists coordinate the response, how they track groups potentially to know where they're going and then rally their troops, I call them, because I'm not necessarily sure that they're all there. There are layers of this in terms of sophistication. And sometimes the ones that are going out in the front lines seem to be the least sophisticated of the complete operation, but they dispatch them there to then cause chaos.
Yeah, I have a problem with them calling themselves rapid responders because it has a positive connotation. And here we are. This is not organic protest, which I think everyone would be in support of. This is organized interference, and they're alleging that there was unnecessary violence, and they're trying to combat that with more violence, right? Or agitation that is spurring this on. I mean, I was reading about the whistles, right? That's a well-known technique to sensitize people and get them on edge. So they're trying to provoke, agitate, and cause another event that then they can rally behind. So there's, like, I think you said it best. There's layers to this. There's levels. I think some people are unwilling or unknowing participants in some of it. But if you just spend a little bit of time looking at the signal groups, the level of coordination, I think there's something much more deeply rooted here, and the president is right to try and de-escalate, get Tom Homan in there, who we know is not someone who messes around, that deals with the facts, and really get to the bottom of this quickly.
And in the case of Alex Preddy, I don't want to get into the logistics of what happened. People have seen the videos. There's going to be an investigation. Let's stay aside from that for one moment until we know more about it and really dig into this idea, Brian, that these are coordinated efforts. It reminds me so much of the movements of anti-Semitism we saw sweep college campuses. And you said to yourself, where do they have the resources to get tents like this? And
yeah, it's the same people, guys. This is why I keep calling out anti-Semites, even on the right. It's the same groups that funded college campus radicals to be pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel, and create violence, vandalism, aggravation against cops or law enforcement of the campuses, shut down free speech and debate. That same pattern is happening against the ICE agents now. And it is, I believe all the evidence is going to go to two major funders, one of them being Soros or his Tide Foundation, all that same radical, leftist, socialist guys that are funding all this stuff. It's an act of desperation, though. So I'm not that worried about it because it really is kind of top-down manipulative spam. And I think the people see through it. The voters see through it. The voters can see that when you have a mob of this size and they all have the same printed signs and they all do say and talk the same way, that there's a top-down control to it, top-down organization. And these are radical groups that are funding the useful idiots, the dumb, normal, the foot soldiers who end up getting in all the trouble and are very sloppy on the front lines. Those billionaires are counting on the sloppy Democrats on the front lines doing something wrong and getting injured so they can then create more protests. See that? This is not about truth or facts or political theory. This is all about they just need to trick their own people, their own Democrat socialists, their own useful idiots into acting out in violence. And we on the right can't take the bait and answer in kind.
To get all the things that when they did their campouts, how is this possible? How is it possible?
Yeah, there's guys like Neville Singham. I think that's his name. He's been well known in these camps.
That's the second guy, Neville Singham, who Anna Paula Luna's been going after. They have him on the radar. I believe he will get indicted, by the way. I believe he's a little more sloppy in how he funds these things than the Soros Foundation.
This protest, funding these things. He's affiliated with, he lives in China, or he's very sympathetic to China, and he likes to fund chaos here. I think it's actually, I would describe these networks in these cities as shadow governments. I think they're actually set up to do that. They marginalize the elected leadership in the cities because those guys dance to the tune of the protesters. Fry and Waltz, they're not in control. They're responding to the protesters. So they set up like shadow governments. They marginalize law enforcement. They collect data and then deploy that data to go after whoever the enemy of their party is. And they basically run the place. And that's really scary. Because if you're a law-abiding citizen in Minnesota, if you do crazy things like go to work every day and pick up your children from school, what you realize is that your vote and the rule of law doesn't matter where you live. What matters is the activity of this shadow government. And all of a sudden, you've been disenfranchised.
I have friends who live in Minnesota, and they've reached out to me going, hey, how's freezing Tennessee? And they go, of course, we have our own problems here in Minneapolis. They go, we're being taken over. And what they mean is normal people can see that they're being taken over by a shadow government. And they know that the rule of law is not working in that area of their own state. So everywhere there's a Democrat, blue state, we saw this happening also with the anti-ICE facilities and places where they harbor illegal aliens. They won't even release the illegal criminals from their jails. In sanctuary cities, they won't turn them over to Tom Homan. He's expressed his anger at Los Angeles and New York. So this is just more of an expression of Democrats don't believe in the rule of law. They don't believe in the Constitution because it is, as I've said before, primarily atheistic. It's primarily atheist. Marx came out and said it. Stalin came out and articulated it. Lenin came out and said it. This is an atheist political movement, and that's why they all start acting the same all around the world. But the results are no good fruit. Families don't get made. Families don't get built. Civilization doesn't grow, build, and thrive. It gets deconstructed and torn down. And that's why in the end, my hope is always in you and I, you, the faithful American patriot, guys. I believe we will win. I believe the good.
Okay. So we got our last 4 short clips. And then
gotta go. Be brave in this world. Don't let you gotta go. Be a man in this world.
I just want to
What's
play
up, guys?
the
Benny Don Lemon has made his first
music.
appearance
I
outside
stopped
of
the
a federal
podcast,
courthouse
finally go.
where the federal government has charged him with 2 counts of crimes. He's facing years in prison, tens of thousands of dollars in fines. And Don Lemon, well, I think is very guilty because he live streamed all of his crimes. It's going to be pretty obvious. I think it's a slam dunk case, but nonetheless, I want to talk about something that is actually more perilous for the Trump administration in charging this, which is that Don Lemon makes all lemons about Don Lemon, and he'll turn lemons into lemonade because Don Lemon is a black hole narcissist who loves himself. He's 60 years old. He's a man-child, and he's in this situation because of all those things. And so when Don Lemon storms a church and live streams it, it's because he thinks that he can do no wrong. He doesn't really have the brain cells, the frontal lobe capacity, the brain stem to see otherwise. He's so dumb, and it's provable in his statements outside of the courthouse After being released by the judge, he was released without bail. He's not really a flight risk, frankly. I don't think Don Lemon would even know how to apply for a passport or get through TSA by himself. Nonetheless, here we go. This is what Don Lemon was charged with, and let's get through all of the news, and I'll play you what Don Lemon said. Indictment unsealed by the court. He's charged with 2 federal felonies for participating in the attack on City's Church in St. Paul. Count 1, 18 U.S. Code 241. This is conspiracy against rights of religious freedom and place of worship. This is the so-called KKK Act. Yes, they did it. They charged Don Lemon with the KKK Act. Count 2, U.S. Code 248, Base Act, to injure, intimidate, interfere with the exercise and rights of religious freedom in a place of worship. Full indictment in replies. You can see here, ladies and gentlemen. So here's the paperwork. And what you can see in the actual paperwork here is that there were a number of instances where children were threatened, where children were wrongfully imprisoned. They were kept inside of their Sunday schools as protesters screamed at them, threatened them, spit on them. And it's evil stuff here. It's incredibly dark. And, you know, honestly, if we had a fair justice system, then no one would even be batting an eye at this, because obviously nobody cares about attacks on journalists when it's Nick Sotor, Nick Shirley, Savannah Hernandez, Cam Higbee, James O'Keefe, Andy Ngo. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares when journalists are charged who were running into the Capitol building during January 6th, only the right-wing journalists. And honestly, you don't care if you even make up charges like you did against Donald Trump in order to try and put him in prison. The left has actually no grounds to stand on this. Nonetheless, they released Don Lemon without bail to wander outside. Don Lemon's husband was there too. Remember, all white men are bad. Just a reminder, all white men are bad. What happened to Don Lemon inside of the court? Let's read that, and then we'll play you his comments outside the court. You weren't allowed to film inside the court. Don Lemon blows a kiss to LA Mayor Bass. So the Los Angeles mayor is there, and these are details from a Fox reporter. So Don Lemon is kissing the woke mayor of Los Angeles. Of course, they'll let half of LA burn. And LA is a third world sunken, failed city under her leadership. It's terrible. Don Lemon was the last person to enter the courtroom. Everyone, including the judge, was already seated. He was escorted in without restraint by U.S. Marshals. He sat at a defense table next to his lawyer. The only time Lemon spoke was when he was asked a series of questions by the judge as to whether he understood the charges against him and his rights in the case. To all the questions, he offered a very strong message, a variation of yes, yes, your honor, or yes, ma'am. Lemon was wearing a tan suit, matching tanless collared shirt, and saw him wave and blow a kiss at the mayor who was seated in the front row. Got it. I also saw Lemon offer several winks to multiple people in the area and smile at them, perhaps to his husband who was seated in the second row behind Bass. Lemon was attentive at the proceedings. Okay, here we go. Here's Don Lemon's humiliating script read. It's hard without a teleprompter after
I need sunglasses.
Arraignment.
Good, I'm good. How are you? Wow. Can everybody hear me? Are you guys set? Everybody ready? So look, I want to thank everybody for their support. It truly means the world to me. I have no idea what's going on because obviously I haven't seen anything. I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever.
This is so humiliating.
Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night.
Does this dude know how to talk without reading off a prompter?
Something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news.
He's reading a note card. He's literally, his eyes are down the entire time.
And for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court. Thank you all.
It's incredibly unimpressive. It's insanely unimpressive. Don Lemon was asked if he was participating or a journalist in the St. Paul church storming. He was a participant. He has it on his live feed that he was helping them plan this event where they stormed the church. I mean, it's a criminal event where he stormed the church. Don Lemon asked if he should have left St. Paul's church after children were scared. Don Lemon says, no, that was the point of me being at St. Paul's church. He said so. The point of this was to terrorize children. This is what he said. Don Lemon was released without bail less than 24 hours after the arrest of the storming of Baptist Church. Meanwhile, Trump supporters were held in isolation for months and years. This is how they were found after January 6th, as a matter of fact. In case you forgot why Don Lemon was arrested, he was terrorizing children. He said the goal was to terrorize children. This is a video of a journalist, Steve Baker. He worked for The Blaze. He was arrested, handcuffed, dragged into a police car in front of the cameras. I can't believe they arrested Don Lemon. I thought all of these people who helped President Trump in Georgia. Some of them working in the White House today, actually. Like this guy, for instance. Maybe you know him. Like that guy. Can't believe they arrested Don Lemon. That's right. Why was Lemon charged? Can we stop lying here? This is a grand jury indictment laying out why Don Lemon was charged. At the pre-op briefing, Lemon and other conspirators, where they were going, they knew where they were going. On camera, Nikita Armstrong, she's also charged, says Lemon knows the location. He was hiding it from the audience. Disrupt business as usual at the church. You can read everything inside of the indictment in the grand jury documents. The grand jury documents say that they planned to attack a Christian church, and they planned to attack the Christian church because it was white. Don Lemon has straight up said this. These are not only federal crimes, these are like hate. These are hate crimes, right? That's what Don Lemon did. They're going to try and make him a hero. He's not a hero at all. In fact, he's the dumbest man to ever have a job in journalism. And just don't take my word for it. Take it from the biggest name in all of journalism. The biggest name in all of media in the world is Joe Rogan. And here's him perfectly summing up Don Lemon.
And we're watching these. I've been covering the riots nonstop. I'm sorry, protests. The completely organic protests, which are totally organic.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting to watch. I was watching one the other day. We were live, and it was Don Lemon, and he had showed up in Minnesota. And the first thing Don Lemon does, right? I hate Don Lemon, by the way, but the first thing he does,
one of the dumbest motherfuckers that has ever gotten on television.
He's terrible.
That was it. Okay. Winding down to the last three short clips with the other lady there. A lot of good stuff out again today. Come on. This is part one of part three parts.
Why? Because their era of free money for the elites is over. Kevin Warsh is President Trump's new pick for the Fed chair. But this is about much more than interest rates. It's the beginning of what President Trump is calling a Republican New Deal. Now, Kevin Warsh didn't just accept the nomination. He declared war on the globalist economic model. He explicitly said that the Fed must abandon the dogma that paying workers causes inflation. He's calling out the real culprit, money printing and Wall Street bailouts. But this follows Ambassador Jameson Greer's shockwave speech in Davos last week, where he dusted off Alexander Hamilton to tell the elites, your system is over. I'm Susan Kokinda, and since the mid-1970s, I've tracked the war between the American system and the British Empire. So if you want to understand why the globalists are terrified of a Republican New Deal, you're in the right place. So please hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons. Help us reach more people and stay in touch. So this is what we're going to look at today. Why the Kevin Warsh nomination demonstrates London and Wall Street are in a total panic today. Why? Because their era of free money for the elites is over. Kevin Warsh is President Trump's new pick for the Fed chair. But this is about much more than interest rates. It's the beginning of what President Trump is calling a Republican New Deal.
Okay, part one. There's part two with one more to go.
How Ambassador Greer's Hamilton speech is an even bigger threat to the elites. And what is the real content of President Trump's Republican New Deal? Now, if you look at much of the mainstream media's coverage of Warsh, you get a kind of whistling past the graveyard feeling. Many of the headlines uncharacteristically reported the fact of his appointment with no screaming adjectives, not exactly typical of the New York Times or National Public Radio. But scratch a little deeper and the fear starts seeping in. The Atlantic Council, which is the voice of NATO and the Anglo-American elites, worried that Warsh and Treasury Secretary Bessent are in sync in their attacks on how the Fed has saved Wall Street at the expense of Main Street. Here's what the Atlantic Council's lead international economist said. Warsh believes the Fed has distorted the healthy functioning of the U.S. economy through its injections of money into the market, helped assets on Wall Street at the expense of Main Street, and taken on the role of implementing fiscal policy. Guess who else thinks exactly the same thing? Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. But it gets even better. The Atlantic Council author spelled out the consequences of this. What does this mean for the global economy? If you're a country looking to the Fed to jump into the fray during an economic crisis, you may be in for a rude awakening. This is not going to be the committee to save the world. President Trump's commitment to the American people and not Wall Street. How Ambassador Greer's Hamilton speech is an even...
Okay, everybody, last video.
Suddenly, it's all the rage to quote Lord Palmerston. First, it was Lord Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Henry John Temple, Lord Palmerston, one of my great heroes, and I'm using one of my favorite books, the Dictionary of Quotations. He famously said, "We have no eternal allies."
Oh, you know what,
and
you
we have
guys?
no
I might have played
perpetual
this.
enemies. Our interests
Sorry
eternal
about
and
that.
perpetual, and those interests,
Well, some
it
people
is our
might have
duty to follow.
missed it.
This is really important because when you're looking at foreign policy, it is crucial to remember.
Then Canadian Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre referenced Palmerston in the same way as a model for the current transition.
But we must also remember that our trade and security partnership with the U.S. is centuries old and will outlast one president. To quote the British Liberal Prime Minister, Lord Palmerston, "We have no eternal allies and we have no perpetual enemies. Our interests are eternal and perpetual, and those interests it is our duty to follow."
And the British website Unheard lamented that the nation of Lord Palmerston is unable to secure itself a place in an emerging global order. Now, this isn't nostalgia. This is a roadmap. Lord Palmerston dominated British foreign policy from 1809 to 1865 as Secretary of War, Foreign Secretary, and Prime Minister. His mission was simple: destroy any nation or alliance that might follow in the footsteps of the United States and challenge British hegemony. And how did he do it? He didn't just use gunboats. He pioneered the use of mobs and liberation movements to destabilize rival nations from within. He sponsored anarchists, separatists, and radicals, across Europe and America to break up sovereign states that threaten the empire. Lord Palmerston was the original author of the color revolution. And now, as the American system rises again under this administration, the heirs of Palmerston are dusting off his playbook. They see that the national security attention to the Anglo.
Sorry about those last three, you guys. I might have played those three already. Some people might have missed it. Okay, what a weekend. I had a lot of good stuff over the weekend. Tomorrow's Monday already. Jeez. Yep. New month for everybody that goes, everybody have a good work week. And go back to the regular time tomorrow, 6. And God bless everybody, love all. Okay, I'm glad you made it in. Tim, Lucy, and Carol, and hopefully Ann will get her plug tomorrow. JJ, and everybody else. God bless everybody. Love all. Remember, please hit like and sub to the backup channels, please, on the description box. Thank you. And stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith, and never give up. Another night of good intel. Signing off, Chico News, you guys. We'll see you all tomorrow night. If anything breaks. Oh, what did I do?